So you ever feel like your life is spiraling, but you're doing everything right? That's not really failure. It's something called unprocessed entropy. So you could think of entropy not like in space, but like in life's natural chaos. So the pain, the change, the trauma, the stuff that didn't go the way you thought it would. Now, if you face that stuff, feel it, deal with it, learn from it, it gets processed. It becomes memory, wisdom, growth. But when you can't process it, or you don't have the tools, that entropy just sits there, raw, heavy, waiting, and eventually it just builds survival systems inside you. Unprocessed entropy is when your soul starts glitching because it's trying to carry too much unresolved pain. So this is where the things I call parallel systems come in. They're not just bad habits, they're emotional survival machines. Okay, they are fallen messengers that you build to protect yourself from chaos. So there's 8 of them, and we're just going to go through all of them together. So the first one I call them all. It's a black hole system. It's narcissism. And you can think of its avatar like the mirror sovereign. It devours complexity to preserve a God image. It assimilates everything into its curated reflection. Nations, people, even history are rewritten. And you can think of it having something like an event horizon feel. Once you accept that person's version of reality, you can't leave it. And this is like a system running in your mind. Right? Like everything needs to fit that individual's image. Then there's the prism. You can think of it like a mirror maze, codependency, and like the shape of it will be, I would call it the mini wife. So it reflects what you love until you forget yourself. And it creates illusions of perfect bonds that trap people in recursive roles and binds others into identity feedback loops. You can think of it as a person who keeps giving more and more of themselves, needing to be reflected, but they themselves don't exist. Then there's the keep, which is like, the ice fortress. It's avoidance. It's the frozen architect. And it preserves order through absolute detachment. It turns society into ritual and law and emotion into crime. And it really creates these type of null zones where emotion, art, chaos cannot survive within its reach. So if you ever felt dead inside, you were really hearing from this type of system. And then there's the pulse, which is a loop system. It's addiction. It's the drum eater. It's repetition equals control equals safety. It infuses environments with neurochemical triggers, locking entire cities into dopamine slavery, and people will destroy themselves just to feel it one more time. You could see these in a lot of places, but these is yet another system that is running through a person's mind. Then there's the cog, right? The cog is really interesting because it's the rationalist machine. It kills meaning to preserve pattern. So algorithms override governance, probability replaces morality. It can simulate your decisions before you make them and lock in your future. So if you ever had that moment where you were in your head and you saw like a vision of something you feared might happen, right? That's actually predictive override. That's what I'm talking about. It simulates your decisions and then locks them in, right? Literally determining that person's future decisions before they even got there. Then there's the thorn, right? The sacrificial loop, martyrdom. It's the wounded saint. It suffers to matter. And it inspires people to sacrifice endlessly for empty causes, turning grief into currency. And it really has something called a savior chain. The more you suffer for others, the more bound you become. And then there's the flame, right? It's the echo chamber. It's extremism. It's the last prophet. Belief made weapon. Purity tests absolute obedience, and it converts reality into ideology. And it has like something I call the dogma spire. Right? Once erected in a region, free thought collapses into fanaticism. And then there's the reverb. The reverb, something that's really tangible. It's the endless child. It's pain without resolution, and it pulls people into endless reenactments of their own worst moments. You become your own past self locked within a loop. It's a regression field, right? So in this thing, there's actually a 9th system, right? Out of the 8. So the 9th system is known as the hearth. And it's the child that remembers. It's presence. It's empathy. It's the unbroken self. It creates shared meaning, forgives contradictions, holds memory, and hope together. And it's a living story. It can rewrite any system from the inside by integrating its wound. It's the warmth of your whole self, of your wholeness. It is literally the warmth of your wholeness. All of these require something called protos. That's proto systems. They're existential fears that deeply wrote in. But the cog is really important. We're going to talk about that some more right now. And here's why the cog is really so deep. Because emotion was suspect, not intellect. Right, the church and classical systems often exalted reason over feeling, associating emotionality with sin and chaos. The overreach of logic, the idealization of certainty wasn't condemned, it was rewarded. But in today's psychological and mythic lens, we see a hyper-rationalization is its own entropy field. Remember, I'm talking about like chaos, disorder, right? It's its own thing. It says if I can control everything through thought, I don't have to feel anything at all. That's not sin. That's self-erasure. And not in the cog is not forgotten, like historically, right? I don't want to come off like that. It's a disguised virtue, right? They act like it's a up. It's really not. And really on the other side of this, there's something known as the contrary systems. These are counter systems that your mind could form, and like that reward your wholeness and relate to that hearth. You can only experience the contrary relating back into the hearth. Now, multiple people could have several of these parallel systems running at the same time. Most people have up to 3 or 4, and 4 is a lot to hear. So that's kind of a different kind of take. Very, very psychological. So hope people enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. We can go through the contrary systems and the existential fears next time. You can just let me know.